So today I'm going to tell you a story that I've literally never shared with anybody. Never said it out loud because I've always been too embarrassed to actually admit it, but I feel like it's important for me to share with you something that happened to me back when I was 21 years old because it's really, there's a few reasons. Number one, it's the worst case scenario. I think it's what we all fear when we start to have insecurity about a relationship. But the reason why I really want to share this with you is because it's possible to get over it. And really that is what this video is about. I want to share with you some of the tools and tips that I have used personally in order to not allow relationship insecurity to rule my relationships and ruin my life. Because when you're insecure about a relationship or you're worried that somebody's doing something they shouldn't be doing, it literally is all consuming. And if you don't have the tools in order to get it in check, it can potentially ruin an amazing relationship. And personally, I don't want that to happen to me. I also don't want it to happen to you. So I'm going to try and give you the condensed version of this. I always talk about you shouldn't snoop. Don't look. If you don't trust the person, you've got to figure out why or get out of the relationship. But once you breach that trust or once you look, it's like opening the Pandora's box. You also, a lot of times, can find things that unfortunately you can't unsee and you wish maybe you didn't know, but once you know, and there's no going back. In college, I was dating a girl and I read her journal. She was a big journaler. And I was having all sorts of insecurity. I was feeling like she might be doing something because our relationship was off. I wasn't feeling it. She went to work and you know what happened. I grabbed it and I started reading. And once I started reading, I couldn't stop reading. And unfortunately, not only did I find out that she was hooking up or she hooked up with other people other than her ex-boyfriend that I knew about, but I still took her back because of some issues with me, which we'll talk about in a second. I also read some things that she said about me that weren't super great in terms of she just wasn't that attracted to me. How do you unsee that? How do you deal with it? What do you do? Well, I'll tell you what I did. I shut the journal and I tried to make it look like I never opened it, and I waited for her to come home, and then basically I just pestered her and bugged her for days, and then it turned into weeks until I finally got her to admit that she hooked up with these other people and that she truly wasn't attracted to me. And the worst part, I dated her for another 2 years after that. Every day I was worried about her doing something she shouldn't be doing. Every day I was worried about how she felt about me. And every single day I felt terrible about myself. But the interesting thing, I never opened that journal ever again. And the reason is pretty simple, because I didn't want to know what she said or what she did because it was too painful. And so instead, I decided to just basically, decided one day that I deserved better and that I was tired of living this life with this person. And so I basically said, look, this isn't it. We got to go. We got to end this. And I've got to work on me. And I did. And so what I'd like to share with you now, guys, is some tips and some strategies in order to get over relationship insecurity. Because the good news is that if I can do it after having that situation happen to me, you can do it too. But it starts with you wanting to be better. So step number one is figuring out why you are insecure and jealous. What is it? All right, is it something that happened to you a long time ago? Is it a past relationship? Is it some insecurity that you feel deep down? Is it because you don't feel you have enough money, you don't have anything to offer, you got a little wiener, you've got like whatever. You've got to try to identify why you're feeling that way. Now, for a lot of people, it's difficult. It's difficult to pinpoint or put your finger on it. That is one of the other reasons why going to therapy, in my opinion, is such an amazing tool. Therapy was the tool that I used to deal with my issues and to get over a lot of this shit. The reality is that it's not going to just go away and it's always going to be there, but you don't have to be a victim of your circumstances or your past failures or the past situation. It takes you taking control, and that is what a therapist helped me realize, that I'm awesome. Seriously, my therapist helped me realize that I'm fucking awesome and I deserve the best, and this is how I'm going to go get it. Guys, therapy, amazing gift. Betterhelp, amazing resource. There's a link down below. They are today's video sponsor. Betterhelp is on a mission to make starting therapy easy, affordable, convenient, and comfortable. And that's the thing I love so much about Betterhelp. And it's super simple to get started. All you do, you hit that link down below and you fill out the questionnaire. The questionnaire is awesome. It's designed to basically help match you with a therapist that's going to be best suited for you, your needs, and what you're actually dealing with. And then in most cases, you're going to be able to start communicating within a couple of days. Now, the one thing you need to understand is that therapy is also a lot like dating. Sometimes you meet somebody and bang, it's magic, right? You connect with them very well. But sometimes you might need to try a few different ones in order to really connect. Well, with Betterhelp, you get to actually change or switch therapists for free until you find that perfect person. Betterhelp also carefully makes sure that the therapists on their platform are well qualified, and their customer support team is always there to answer any questions. Guys, if you feel that you could benefit from talking to a licensed therapist about you, your issues, your insecurity, your relationship, click the link down below. Go to betterhelp.com/alpha-M. That's BETTERHELP.com/alpha-M to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Guys, the deal is this. It's time for you to do the work. Do not allow past relationships or your insecurity with yourself to basically sabotage a potential amazing relationship, because the reality is that a lot of times this insecurity and this jealousy is your problem. It's not them, it's you. It doesn't mean not to trust your gut, but sometimes your gut will lie to you and we end up believing it. Guys, get some perspective. Betterhelp, the link down below, click it. You're gonna get 10% off your first month of therapy. Step number one is try to identify why you're feeling the way that you are. Did something happen that's justifying why you're feeling the way that you are, or is it something that you've just kind of conjured up in your head and you now are convincing yourself that that thing that you thought is actually real? Because unfortunately, I am really good at basically believing my own lies or making something out of nothing. You've got to try to not do that. I know it's hard, I know it's easier said than done, but one of the things you can do is stop trying to read the other person's mind. You've got to ask them. If there's something that is bothering you, whether or not you're feeling insecure about a guy or a coworker of theirs, or that you don't have enough money or whatever it is, ask them. Ask them about it. And hopefully you guys have a good, healthy relationship and you guys can actually communicate and work through the issue. But do not continue to pester her. If you ask and she tells you, don't keep trying to say, hey, well, what about this? Or are you sure? Do you really mean it? But what about no? You're trying to get a different answer. You got to stop doing that. Step number 3 is stop confusing imagination with reality, which is once again something that happens a lot when you're feeling insecure. You start to build things up in your head. You start to imagine certain things or read into things. And this can unfortunately lead to a lot of bad behavior like snooping. All right, snooping, in my opinion, is never acceptable. And I say that as somebody who did it. But I've never done it with anybody else I dated other than that one person. And the reason is because that one time was so painful. The other reason is that I don't need to. The relationships that I'm in now, I feel comfortable. And when there's an issue, I ask. I also trust the person. The other thing that I did was not bring my past relationship forward into my new relationship, which is the next step. If something happened to you, all right, and this is me just talking here. If something happened that was shitty, somebody cheated on you, just because somebody else cheated on you in the past doesn't mean that the next person will. You've got to understand that. But one of the things that will ruin a relationship is you pestering them or making up things in your head and accusing them of things that aren't actually going on, or starting to go down the rabbit hole of snooping, whether or not it's their cell phone, their Instagram account, their social media. Once you start going down the snooping rabbit hole, it's literally a very, very slippery slope. And unfortunately, when you start snooping, when you start looking, a lot of times you can find things and read into them that may or may not actually be there. The other unfortunate reality is that if you start snooping and this person finds out, this is a breach of trust. It's also a breach of confidence. And once you lose that trust in somebody, whether or not they cheated or they're snooping, it's very, very difficult to come back from. You've got to be committed to come back from it. You've got to be committed to not do it again. But if you relapse and you snoop just because you just want to make sure, this is not good. It's also going to be very difficult to ever have a happy, healthy relationship, because healthy relationships don't snoop. They don't check up on people. They don't go and stalk them in their car like I did. I did that too. Something else that I'm incredibly embarrassed about. Trust your gut, but don't allow your gut to rule your emotions or make bad decisions for you. If there's something that just doesn't feel right, a lot of times something's not right. Ask about it. Follow up with them, but do not pester them. And do not build something up or make things up in your brain or in your head. It's one of the things that will absolutely sabotage your relationship. And if you have an issue and something happens and you decide to fix it and to continue with your relationship, do not bring it up again. The reason I'm saying that is because one of the issues that happens is a lot of times when there's an issue, whether or not it's a man, a woman doing something they shouldn't have been doing, or talking to somebody or flirting or whatever, and you get over it, or you say you get over it, if you start fighting again and bringing it up, that's unacceptable. It's dirty fighting. Once you put something to bed and decide that that's over, you've got to allow it to be over, because if you keep bringing it up, this is incredibly toxic. It also is never going to allow your relationship to heal, which means if you aren't getting over it, you have not healed. If you don't think that you're able to heal, then you've got to end the relationship, because it will never get better. Give your relationship room to breathe. That is the next tip and step I would like to give you. You cannot micromanage somebody into not cheating or not wanting to leave you. You can't do it. In order to have anything grow, you've got to allow it to breathe, and your relationship is no different. You've got to allow this person to have their own friends, to go do their thing, for you to have your own, for you not to be so consumed with what they're possibly doing. You can't worry about that, because it will literally eat you alive. And the next thing I just want to mention, and the thing that truly will get you over your feelings of insecurity and inadequacy, is work on you. Make you the priority. Unfortunately, when we get into relationships, a lot of times we can become obsessive, or we can really focus too much on the relationship or on that person as opposed to ourselves. And a lot of times we lose our identity. A lot of our hobbies that we used to have, we stopped doing. Maybe we stopped going to the gym. Maybe we stopped doing all the things that we did in order to get this person. And that in and of itself stifles our growth as an individual, and it also makes us feel bad about ourselves. And when you feel bad about yourself, that is once again when a lot of these feelings of insecurities will kind of manifest and seep into your brain. You've got to start doing a better job of taking care of you. Make you the priority. It doesn't mean you can't have a relationship, but you've got to be the focus. You can't neglect you for somebody else. And no amount of love, no amount of smothering is going to prevent somebody from doing something if they are a broken person. And that is kind of the last thing I'd just like to leave you with. If somebody is going to cheat on you or not be honest or upfront or leave you when they don't want to be with you anymore, that's a problem with them. Shame on them. No amount of love, no amount of caring, no amount of affection can fix a cheater. But also on the flip side, no amount of attention and love can prevent somebody from doing it if that is what they are pre-designed or hardwired to do. Some people have issues that they have not dealt with. They've got to do the deep work. And until they do, they are going to seek this outside attention or approval from other people, and it's never going to be enough. They are constantly going to be seeking. They're constantly going to be looking for attention and affection from some outside source. You are awesome, period. If somebody doesn't want to be with you, fine, let them go. You will find the person you are supposed to be with. And when you do, and when it is a happy, healthy, beautiful relationship, you're not going to have the need and the urge to snoop. You're not going to have the urge, the need to follow up or to worry about them all the time, because both people are reassuring each person enough and you trust them. When you trust somebody, you don't feel the insecurity and you're not super jealous, period, because you know that it's healthy. You know that it's happy, and you know that you're awesome. Guys, you are amazing. She's the lucky one. I just need to get it out of the way. She is. So stop being so weird and insecure. Do the work you need to do in order to feel better about yourself. Figure out why you're feeling that way and then fix it. If it's because of money issues, make more money. If it's because of body issues, get a better body. But do not allow these insecurities that you have with you to impact your relationship and make her pay for your inability to do the deep work. Guys, it's time for you to straighten up and do the work. Do the work. I promise it's worth it.